Live and in color. All right. I wanted to comment about this. David and Sonia and Nina Kinzer, for my birthday, got me a fruit tree planted in Israel, and I think they did it on
Tish B'Av?
Yeah, Tish B'Av.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And so for my 50th birthday, so I got the certificate here, and I wanted to thank them publicly. So, how about that?
Very good. Very nice.
Awesome.
I wish they'd tell me where they are, because I've done it several times.
Where you could find yours, find your tree. So, how about
Tree's
that?
still alive.
How about that?
That's nice.
All right. Today we get to study Torah for the sake of heaven, for the sake of Israel and all Jerusalem. We'd like to give the merit of our study and the merit of our Torah to Stephen King, Avraham ben Moshe Gilla, Ed Stribling, Linda Ford, Collier Searle, Brandon Walsh, Raymond Rosentrader, Brooke Gibson, Paul Navarro, Garrett Mattlage, the Patients of Texas Oncology, Rita Wilson, H.L. and Betty McCuskey. Lola, daughter of Justin Lakeisha, Neil, Bria, Staff, Elise Hagar, Nadine Freeman, Logan Willis, Billy Hope, Charles David, Rosa Hollander, Christopher Durka, Noel Cardoza, David Douglas, Vicki McLean, Savannah Daughter of Matthew, Misty Katz, Tom and Karen Maitland, Sarah Hayes, Sandra Hayes, Carol Tinkle, Larry Langberg, Juliet Navarro, Blake, Hannah, Leela Briscoe, Sam Peak, Yehuda Ben Matai Leah, James London, David Jenkins, Jake Suarez, Bobby Williams Sr., Sally Talamantes, Rogers family, Carol Gibson, Damia Washington, Carol Scott, Rabbi Richmond, Maurice Greenwood, Gracie Bill Leonard, Stanley Hurst, Brandy Boots, Amanda Elliott, Frank Pollard, Carol's family, Baby Denard, Michelle Magnuson, Jenna Marie, Kimberly Brown, Debbie January, Kim Lively, Crespin Rodriguez, Sandra Hurth, Virgil Williams, Brad Mace, Jocelyn Livin Nickerson, Jerry Mattlage, Dylan Tinkle, Amber Merchant, Simca Ben Avraham and family, Celinda Sheffields, Luis Gutierrez and family, Aaron Price, Gail McWhorter, Sonia Kinzer, Kathy Johns, John Michael Christopher Ramos, Jean son of Jock Coates, Nellie Warlick, Tahila Abuelo, Miranda Rosas, Jim Barfield and family, Naomi Botsimka, Terry King, Ronald Whitlow, Kathleen Graham Walsh, Brandon's family, Mila Rose, Monica Johnson, Ed and Dottie Garrison, Moshe Solovechek, Donna Marie, Farrar Sajid. You ever hear from him, Russ?
Who's that?
Farrar Sajid.
I got a text, Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, good, good, excellent. Benson Ewing, Darlene Youts, Debbie Henson, Nita Jones, Jessica Ross, Daniel Garcia, Brandon Welch, Gideon, Phoebe Bridges, Salvador Gutierrez, Jacob Ben Simca, Max Wagner, son of Marcy Wagner, Mark Mattlage, Emily Botova, Nadim Botmirin, Kathy, Jackie Cup and family, Carla Manzanares, Beth, Carmen, Alton, Tillman, Elvia Rosas, and Jacques and all the people in South Africa. And I think I got another one over here on the computer I need to look at. I believe.
Do you have Dixie Pring on there?
I don't. I need to put Dixie Pring on there. Dixie Pring for sure. And Lisa Craig had sent me one, the motorcycle. Here it is. Max Wagner. That's Max Wagner.
That's who we were talking about the other week. Didn't think it's there.
Oh, I got Max Wagner on here. Sure do.
Yeah.
Sure do.
I
Do.
thought we talked about him last week.
Yeah.
Last week I was
You
here.
remember Daniel, the guy that used to come in here? And so I saw this deal on Facebook the other day, and it was like, join the prophet Daniel Garcia as he hears from heaven and prophesies and all this stuff. And I was like, so I couldn't help it. I wrote on there, he's no prophet.
Oh, was it Don talking about him? Or
Yeah. He's the big messianic prophet around here. No wonder he didn't come back to class.
So it's
All right.
between prophets.
Yep.
It's kind of like bless his heart.
Bless his heart. We looking good there, Jared?
Man, you filled the whole screen?
Okay. Do I need to zoom it out?
No, I messed with you.
Root of the universe and master of all masters, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God and the God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling, that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and that you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor? That is the reason we plead before you, and you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, and they shall not bring separation between you and us. May it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken, prepare our hearts to love and revere you. And may you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden studies of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor as a aroma of sweet incense. And may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being. And may the sparks of your holy servants through which you revealed your wisdom to the world shine. And may their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study, and by their merit enlighten our eyes in our learning, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so that I'll see wonders from your Torah. Because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. All righty. Class number 13 on inner space. And we are going to start today on page 61, if y'all want to grab that. As you can see right here, I have a brand new board that I'm making. I'll move it this way for the camera.
Don't point out and wipe it all off like the other
This is going to be, yeah,
It's right there, see?
this is going to be Yavamote. And we are going to flesh out the entirety of Yavamote. Well, from 35 through probably 61. This is 3 weeks, and this is as far as we've gotten. 3 weeks at 3 times a week. And so once I have it all done, I'm going to give it all over, and we're going to show why everybody that doesn't understand Ger and Ger Toshav and all, why they're getting it wrong, where they're getting it wrong, and how they're getting it wrong. They don't know Talmud. So, anyway, we're doing that. So I'm going to move this out of the way because we're going to need to see the board back here for sure. Now, I am going to read a piece from the Tanakh out of Zechariah 14. I'm just going to read one little verse, and we're not going to study the verse at all. And we're going to go through our whole inner space class today, and then we're going to answer it. We're going to answer this question at the very end of class. Okay? If you will look in Zechariah at your leisure, 14:4, it says, his feet will stand on that day on the Mount of Olives, which faces Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives will split open in its middle, east to west, forming a very long valley. Half the mountain will move to the north, and half will move to the south. That is the whole verse of Zechariah 4, talking about Mashiach and coming down the day it happens. And what we are going to do over the next hour is explain and give you the coordinates, so that anytime you come in contact with something such as that, you know exactly what it's saying. Now, last week, or the last few weeks, here's our little sporadic structure here. Okay? We've done Keter, Chokmah, Bina, and Da'at. So we're at wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. All right? And we talked extensively about knowledge and knowing and union between these two. And eating and union and everything that goes on with that. That's why we have kosher eating. Everything is a union. And the term for that in Torah is called a zivug. When you hear the term zivug, that literally means union or sexual union. It is as if it is sexual union. They ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. All right? So, anytime you deal with any scripture in Torah, whether it's Talmud, Zohar, no matter where you're looking, you always have at least 3, if not 4 characters. You always have Adam going on in the picture. You always have Eve going on in the picture. And you always have the Nakash going on in the picture. These are always a constant. I don't care what story you're reading in Torah, those 3 people are in it. Okay? Abraham, Sarah, and Lot. All right? Abraham, the king, and Eleazar. The players change, the concept does not. Okay? Now, a lot of times you will have 2 more players. One will be Sam and one will be Lilith. These are the backsides of Adam and Hava. So they're the front side, back side. 1 surface, 2 sides. Yud He Vav He, 4. Okay? So you will have, sometimes you will have 4 aspects as it oscillates back and forth. Where do we see this? We see this Ahab, Jezebel, Elijah, and Obadiah. There you go. That's the good Nakash, the good Adam, the bad Nakash, and the bad Eve. You can always put your coordinates where you want to go. The only way to figure that out is to know the spherotic structure. Now, on our spherotic structure, we are going to do today, we're going to do Hesed, I put an A there. Guvarot, I put an I there. Teferet, I put a J there. Netzach, I put an M there. Hod, I put an AA there. Yesod, I did put a Y there. And Malchut, I put a D there. That's because I want you to know that the men that are associated with these Sphirot are Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, Joseph. I didn't want to put 2 J's, so we'll call him Joseph, and David, King David. So these are the men that completed that coordinate. They were, when this Sphirot emanated into our reality, into Bia, Berea, Yetzirah, Nasiah, it manifested in that man. That man was the culmination, completion of that Sphirot. Okay? Now, there are many other Yesods, there are many other Malchuts, there are many other Netzach and Hods, but these are the foundational men that established that particular Sphirot. So, we have Abba, Ima, we have all the patriarchs, and then we have Ian Soph. All right? Now, if we want to say Abba and Ima, we can say Havayah, we can say Elohim, Hashem, Elohim. But they're always in union. Remember, they're never not separated. Okay? All right? So, there are 22 lines connecting these. These are the 22 letters in the alphabet. And these are the 10 sayings, as we already know. So, this is the 32 paths of wisdom discussed in the Sefer Yetzirah, and the Zohar, and the Bahir. All right, those are the 32 paths of wisdom. So, to get wisdom, you need to know everything that pertains to all of this structure. Now, this is the tip of the Yud, so this is Yud, Hey. This is the Vav, as we know, Hey. This is the Havayah. So, when again we had some people going, oh, Jehovah, oh, Yahweh. No, this is the Havayah. It doesn't have a pronunciation. It's the name. Because it has many names. I'll give you an example.
You said it last week. It was
Just an example. In Keter alone, just in the purple one at the top. Keter alone. If we have the Keter of Keter, that's a tikiomin. If we have the Malchut of Keter, that's a reconpin. Now, if when a tikiomin and a reconpin get together, we have a tika kadesha. Now, a tika kadesha breaks off in Hokmah and Keter. We have Reash, Aliyah, Atika Kadesha, Situma Dekol, Sitimim, Moha, Sitima, the concealed brain, the Mokas Dima'ah, and then we have the conceal of the concealed brain. We have the Bartzina de Katanuta. We have Stima'ah. We have all these different names, you know? And so don't tell me that you can say any of the names, because you can't. Because there's so many of them, so it's called the name. They're not plural, they're all stacked on one. So it's called the name. But everything resides within that. And I just gave you the names that were in the Keter and the Malchut of Keter. So that's how deep it actually goes. Now, so it's not funny when they do it. It just shows how stupid they are when they do it. The Torah saying is that a Torah scholar can talk to somebody for 2 minutes and he'll know everything that guy knows. Because the words you use. You'll know what he knows or what he doesn't know by what he says and what he uses. All right? You can't just say, oh, they're wrong. Why? You have to explain why they're wrong. Right? So, that we just explained why they're wrong. Now, if you will look on page 61. 61. We are going to talk today, and I'll go ahead and color these in for you. Today's talk is going to get very sexual. So put on your big boy hat. Because if you're talking about creation, creation only happens one way. This is why the other side is trying to promote all the other ways of having sex. Because the other side is sterile. Like a mule. Now, I've colored Hesed and Guvurot. All right? Now, we're going to talk about these two things on page 61. I guess I might as well color Teferet. Let's use purple. No, we don't want to use that. Let's use green. Yellow and blue make green anyway. Okay. There we go. We see that? Blue is Hesed. The yellow here, the orange is Gevurah. And the green is Teferet. Okay? Notice Teferet is lined up with Keter Da'at down to Yesod, down to Malchut. So, what is Hesed? Hesed is love. It's really pure kindness. This is described like somebody burying the dead. Burying the dead is a pure Hesed, a pure love, because that person cannot repay you for that. It's impossible. So pure Hesed and pure love, if you're doing something out of Hesed, you are not ever expecting anything in return.
I prepared a body this week.
Yeah, it's a pure Hesed. That person cannot pay you back. So Hesed is not only done just for a dead person, it can be done to anybody. When you do something for somebody and you really truly expect zero in return, there's no strings attached, that's pure Hesed. That's pure loving kindness. Now, it's unconditional love. It's the idea of giving oneself totally. Second paragraph. The Sphirot, and we're talking about the bottom 7 here. Yeah, let's use this. We're talking about these parallel the 7 days of creation. So we just got into creation, all right? Not that they were creating here, and now we got baby down here, all right? The first of these is Hesed. This is the first day of creation. And there was light. Pure, unadulterated light, love, energy. It had no bounds. It could go on and on and on. Without bounds, it was unrestrained and even perhaps undisciplined. You know, too much love can be a little overbearing at times. Guvurot, right here, is the second day of creation. This is the firmament. Guvurot is barriers. It's barriers. Restraining. So if Hesed is expansion, Guvurot is restraining. Now, let's look at it in different terms. Remember, we talked about the Tzimtzum, where God contracted to a point and removed himself from space to create space to where something new could be put in that space, which is creation. So everything done with Guvurot is done through Elohim. Everything done through Hesed or expansion is done through Havayah. Now remember, they're always together. It just depends which way it manifests. Okay? So creation, putting boundaries on things, is Elohim. All right? There was all this light. Now we have to, fix it. Now we have to make it to where something can exist, because if we don't restrain that light, it's too much. Shattering of the vessels. All right? And this was a process for God. All right? Because can God make a vessel that he can't destroy? No, but he does it anyway. Right? That's the secret of the 974 primordial worlds. Now, Hesed is essentially God giving of himself unrestricted, opening doors all the way. Where Guvurot, on the other hand, is strength, restraining his urge. Guvurot is the idea of divine strength, God's ability to withhold himself from creation and close the doors. The Sphirot are the windows or the doors. Okay? He has to remove himself far enough that anything can exist. If God were freely given himself, he would totally overwhelm the world with greatness or goodness or Geula. It would just, this is Mashiach. When it hits, when the Hesed is released, it's going to blow out everything. All right? And that's redemption, that's Geula, that's complete purity. All right? This is the original name of Hesed. If God were to allow his greatness to shine forth, the world could not exist. God had to hold himself back. Thus, Hesed and Guvurot, it's Gevurah, but I like to say Guvurot, must balance each other and interplay between the two. This is why in the body you have Hesed, which is the right arm, and Gevurot, which is the left arm. And they work in concert. So, if you'll go to the last paragraph. So, a lot of times in Scripture, you'll see, and the hand of God. You know? And the finger of God, or the hand of God, and everything. Always know, generally speaking, when it's going to be destruction, it's his left hand. It's Guru. But the right hand is always there because he's always going to judge with mercy. All right? Now, among our biblical heroes here, we have Abraham. He is the man of loving kindness. He prepared food for everyone and all wayfarers. If you walked by Abraham's house, he said, "Come in, the barbecue pit is on. We got barbecue and potato salad. Let's get it on." That was his life. Barbecue meatloaf. I mean, it was on. He was an entertainer, and he loved to entertain, but he did it out of the kindness of his heart. He really wanted you to enjoy his entertaining, and you owed him nothing in return. That was Abraham, and he always wanted to greet them. Not only that, he put himself totally he put himself totally on the line when he was pleading for Sodom. Now, do we remember the story of Sodom and Gomorrah? Go call Papa and tell him I'm busy.
Know that.
Now, Sodom and Gomorrah, we have Abraham and we have Lot. Now, we know Lot was he leaned to the side of holiness because he was expecting the angels. His daughters were all expecting them, But his wife did something that caused her to be turned to salt. Now, water is hesed. Okay? Water is hesed. Liquid light, we'll call it. All right? And there's fresh water, and then there's salt water. If you remove all the hesed out of the sea, which is bina, which is the higher root, all you have left is salt. So what was Lot's wife's sin?
She turned around and looked back at the evil.
Well, she turned around and looked back, but that's what got her killed. But what set that up? Anybody remember? What she wouldn't do.
Get away from the evil? Or
she would not let the angels come in. She didn't want them in. You keep them outside, Lot. Lot was trying to show a hesed and let them come in, and she wasn't having any of it. So because she wasn't hesed, her punishment was straight guverot, and she was turned to salt. No hesed, no water in her. You see, that was her issue. She was not a friendly, hey, come over, open the fridge, whatever you want. She wasn't into doing kindness or charity or any of that. She was having none of it. That's what got her killed. All right? So, Abraham is just the opposite. And how do we know? He pleads for Sodom and Gomorrah. They're the evilest people on the planet. And he begs God, what if there's 50? What if there's 40? What if he goes all the way through? All right? Of course, we know those are sclerotic structures and stuff. But that is the secret of pure hesed. Those guys could not have repaid Abraham back for any of that. Yet he still did it. All right? So, this is the whole, praying for your enemy thing almost, Now, Guverot, on the other hand, relates to Isaac. Isaac's life, where he totally nullifies and allows himself to be bound up on the altar. This is the Akedah, the binding of Isaac. Now, there's twofold thing going on here. Not only is he physically bound, but mentally as well. All right? you see, the gevura is the ability and the strength to overcome oneself, to physically withhold a wrong emotion, a wrong emotion or a wrong action. It takes strength to say, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to have adulterated sex. I've got to have strength. You got to have holy gevurot to do that. All right? Because Hesed wants you to just, go for it, right? Love everybody. All right? But that's unmitigated. In other words, there has to be balance. Too much of one side is not good. All right? If your gevurot is unmitigated, doesn't have any Hesed in it, all you want to do is kill everything. It's pure destruction. There's no mercy in it. So strength can be too much strength. Right? Now, the gevurot and the restraint, this is parallels with the word called din, or the laws. So why do we have the laws? Because God had to create barriers out of din, out of gevurot, and a barrier is a restriction, and a restriction is a law. And so throughout the Talmud, all they're arguing is cases of the law, of restrictions, how not to get contamination in. This is Adam's number one name of the game. Now, a judge, for example, says, I'd like this man, I want to do him a favor, but a judge cannot do that. You cannot be biased or partial. You have to judge with din, but you can't be too forgiving and you can't be too restrictive. The punishment must fit the crime as the law provides. Now, let's see here. Hesed, a Hesed person is really oriented toward other people. But sometimes it can be in a negative sense, wanting people's approval. And cannot make a decision on their own. Always looking how other people are, what are they going to think of me? What are they going to think if I do this? Am I going to disappoint them? That's Hesed gone wrong. Gevurot, on the other hand, can get to a person, somebody doesn't care at all what other people think about them. You know? And this is my weakness and it is my strength. You know? On one hand, I don't care at all what people think about me. And on the other hand, it bothers me what people think about me. You know? And so this is a own struggle that I have to deal with all the time. Because if you get me on the wrong day, I don't care what you do. I don't care what happens to you. I don't care.
I just don't care enough to do anything about it.
And
It bothers me.
I normally don't care not to do anything about it. On other days, I'll go out of my way to do something for somebody. And what is that? That's the pendulum oscillation of Hasidim and Gevurot. What we have to do is we have to find a balance of that in the middle somewhere. We really care about you, but here's a little bit. Now move on. You know.
We just don't let it bother us like it should.
Yeah, we just don't. We don't let it bother like it should. That's the best way to say that. So, let's see here. So sometimes a Gevurot barrier, a person can get so restricted and so walled off and have such a barrier that now they don't even deal with anybody at all. And what you're seeing is how emotional psychosis works in people. They swing from one side to the other because they don't have one or the other thing in their life. They need mitigation. All right. In essence, for a good relationship, each partner has to integrate the two modes, the ability to maintain an identity, yet merge with another person. Tiferet Oh, let's talk real quick about Isaac. Now, Isaac is Guvarot. All right? Guvarot is, for the most part, a very negative attribute. It's not a very positive thing. Because if God's all positive, the only thing he can create is pretty much all negative. But he has to create it so he can give his positive, right? So, what happens? Guvarot makes barriers. Barriers are walls. Walls are klipa. Walls are boundaries. So, every time a boundary comes up, the boundary is first. And it's usually negative. Abraham's first child was Ishmael, Guvarot. Then and he's Guvarot on the negative side, and Isaac's Guvarot on the positive side. But there could still be a little Guvarot in Isaac. So what does Abraham have to do? Bind him up. Abraham literally tied up any of the Guvarot that can manifest as evil, and Isaac knew that, and he allowed it because he had holy Guvarot, he had restraint. So where does that manifest itself? That the big ego, the big egocentric? Esau. But he had restricted it and bounded it so much, Jacob had none of it. Jacob was pure mitigation. So Jacob is Tiferet. All right? Now, Tiferet is beauty. Jacob was beautiful. The most beautiful ever. If we say Hesed is pure white light, Gvurot is pure black light. They're polar opposites. Positive and negative. Think of it as a battery. All right? So if Adam is positive, the Nakash is negative. One battery, two polarities. Now, top of page 63. Hesed is the right arm, Gvurot is the left arm. Tiferet is the body. The heart, basically. Now, if light was created on the first day and the firmament was created on the second day, on the third day, God separated the seas and the dry land. In other words, the third day he set boundaries, not all the sea and not all the land, but a balance between the two. Plants were created on the third day. A plant grows so that it can have an element of Hesed, yet a plant is enclosed and has a barrier between itself and the outer world, which is an element of Gvurot. All right? Now, big paragraph on page 63. Abraham, as we said, is Hesed. Isaac is the person who totally subjugates his ego. So if you cannot restrict your ego and your Gvurot, you have major ego. Isaac became a perfect parallel of Abraham's life. He digs the same well as Abraham dug. He goes down to the Philistines and calls Rebekah his sister, just as Abraham did with Sarah, called him his sister. Abraham initiates the motion. Isaac is the transmitter, the perfect disciple. Now, bottom paragraph here, where it says Tiferet, beauty, is balance. The main attribute that we find in Jacob is truth. What is on the outside is what is on the inside. He is truth and balance. Because if God's creating this perfect thing, he has to be able to emanate all the loving kindness he has. He has to set boundaries and not let it go beyond the boundaries. And then he has to blend it. He has to blend it back together to where it can coexist. And that's Jacob. All right? That's Jacob. Jacob is the coexisting. Now we're going down to the next three sphirot. Okay? I'm going to put, let me get 3 new colors. Well,
Do you have 3?
pink. And, okay. We're going to say brown. This is where it gets down to nitty gritty. Right here.
That's not going to bleed into your book, is it?
Nah.
That ain't my rock. Please don't go through the book.
All right. If y'all got y'all's sporadic tree drawn. Now, netsock. Hoed. Yes, sowed. This is the next 3. This is where it gets down to the nitty gritty. just for instance, if you got Hokmah Da'at Bina or Bina Da'at, that's called Chabad. This is where the whole Chabad movement gets its name from. Chabad. Okay? If you got Hesed, Gevurah Teferet, this is called Hagat. So if you're reading Kabbalah and it says Hagat, that's where they're talking. Okay? This bottom one here, Netzach, Yesod, and Hod, it's called the Nahi. The Nahi. Nahi. Chabad, Hagat, Nahi. Those are some of the terms that they will use. And you're going to use the Nahi a lot. Now, let's get right in. Netzach. This one. This is Moses, Aaron, Joseph. Netzach is dominance. Hod is empathy. And Yesod is foundation. So, if Yesod is foundation, we should have to stop right there and ask a question. What is our question? Off of the word foundation. If y'all watch that movie that I posted on there, it's called The Burdensome Stone. What's that stone called?
Evan Steele.
It's called the Evangelio. What is it called in English? The foundation stone. If Yesod is foundation, and the dome of the rock is covering the foundation stone, that is the very place of Adam's Yesod. That's the Adamic Yesod. That is where it all happened. That's the entrance to the Gan. Even though Machpelah is the cave, that's the female basic entrance. But that is the Yesod. That is the earth's Yesod. That's why everybody in the world's fighting over that spot, claiming that spot, because they don't know why they are, but that's why they are. That is the foundation of the world. So when we took the ark is always Malchut. Okay? Ark is always Malchut. When we took the Ark of the Covenant and we put it on the foundation stone, everything was hunky-dory. This is number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See 6 colors there, right? And Noah was 600 years old when he entered the ark. Okay? Noah, he was Yesod Adam. because he was 10 down, 10 generations down, 10, counting that one. Okay? So, that explains everything about Noah. Now you know what Noah is. And he was the most righteous man. We're going to get into righteousness, and righteousness leads us right into sex.
Oh, isn't that Yesod as well?
Yes.
Tzaddik?
Tzaddik.
He's the most righteous in his time.
In his time. And in his time, he was the only one in his time that was that. Time is relative. Okay, so let's get right into this. This is where it gets kind of nitty gritty. So, essentially, Hesed, love, Gevurot are restraints in a giving relationship. You're either giving or pulling back. Giving can also imply giving existence or structure to something. Giving freely on one hand, while Gevurot is holding back on the other. Second paragraph. In Kabbalah, Yesod, foundation, parallels the sexual organ of both male and female. Okay? So, if this is the sexual organ, Netzach and Hod on the female would be her ovaries. On the male, it would be the testes. Now, because Torah cleans it up extremely well, they say these are the right and left legs. The right and left legs. Now, everything on the left side, which is this side, everything on the left side in reality fell to the left. Okay? Jordan, run up there in room 1 and grab my spine. No, I got it ready. So,
Snake spine.
because everything falls to the left, because it's Gevurot, I'll get my snake out here. This is the timeline. Okay? So this is the spine of Adam. This is the Nakash of Adam. So here is dinosaurs. Here's this. Here's that. Here's this. But if you notice, there's spaces between all this. Okay? When everything falls to the left, now, hold this, Jordan, right there. Now you have a concept of linear time. Only because it fell to the left do we have linear time. If you dig right here, you find something. But you don't find the same thing right here as if you dig over here. All right? So this is called the fall to the left. If you look in your body, your left ear, your left eye, your left lung, your left kidney, your left ovary or testy, your left everything is longer than your right. Your left leg is longer than your right leg. Your left arm is longer. Everything is lower on the left side in your body because you're created in the image and likeness of all of creation. All right? So, where was I going with that?
I don't know if it sounded good.
Well, to the left. Oh, I know where I was going with that. Now, because we have our legs, our feet, they're called the feet. But we know they're really not the feet. We just call them the feet because it doesn't sound as pornographic when we're teaching Torah. Right? So, I'm going to read this once again. Zechariah. And his feet will stand that day on the Mount of Olives, which faces Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives will split open and move to the north, and half of it will move to the south. Now, what you have to know, Gevurot is always north. I remember that by saying the north wind is cold. It's Gevurot. You know, it makes you constrict. Where the south wind is Hesed. It's warm. Love. Okay? Now, I live in a town called West. So West is always Malchut. Teferet is always East. And this is the place of union. Her Yesod, his Yesod. Her legs, his legs. Let me read it again. What is Jerusalem? The place of union. His feet will stand on that day on the Mount of Olives, which faces Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives will split open in the middle, east to west. East to west. Forming a very large valley. Half of the mountain will move to the north, Hesed. Half of the mountain will move to the, Guvarot. Half of the mountain will move to the south, Hesed. Where at? On the Mount of Olives. Where's that? On the Temple Mount. Where's that? At the foundation stone. At the Yesod. When the union between 4D hits 3D, it's an impregnation. The split is the female Yesod. It's describing it. It's telling you exactly what's going to happen. This is where we start getting in to the whole sexual aspect of creation. And Kabbalah is really the study and the description of how it all takes place. If you look at every piece of Torah, that's what the underlying issue is. Why are we worried about a convert? Because they want to get married to a Jew. Why? Well, so no big deal. Well, eventually they're going to have sex. That's the issue. That's the reason we're worried about the issue. If they weren't going to ever have union and produce offspring, they wouldn't care. But the problem is, in Genesis, they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil too early. You always got to go back to what happened. Did the Nakash impregnate Eve, or was it Adam? Or is the Nakash just the lower aspect of the spine of Adam? Did it actually enter Eve, or did it actually enter the backside, which is Lilith? And those are Cain. That's the nest. That's Cain and Abel. Because we know on the front side we have Seth. So this is always the issue. Sarah and Abraham go down. What does Pharaoh want to do? He wants to have sex with Sarah. What happened? He said, hey, say you're my sister. Because that way he will honor me and won't want you. Because if you say you're my wife, he's going to kill me and take you as his. But the sister is also the Shekhinah, which put curses, basically cursed Pharaoh, and he had bulls, and his whole family had STDs. And they said, get out of here. So they left. Isaac had to do the same thing. Leah doesn't want to have sex with Esau. It wasn't about the marrying her. She knew it was contaminated. So Jacob has to marry both of them. He has to consummate the union with both of them. Tamar, Ruth and Boaz, Pinchas, Simcha and Zimri and Cosby. They want to have sex right in front of Moses. Pinchas kills them. Every single issue in Torah is about sex. There's not one that's not. David and Bathsheba. Tamar and Judah. Bathsheba, queen, the one with Solomon. Yeah, Bathsheba, and the Cushite woman with Moses. Okay, they didn't want anything to do with the Amalek girl. What's her name? Timnah. They knew it wasn't about her converting. that they didn't want. They didn't want her marrying a Jew. Everything is about that. What did the angels want to do with Lot and Lot's daughters? What did the men? What did the men of Sodom want to do to the angels? Sex. Every single thing in Torah revolves around it. So now we're fixing to understand why the tzaddik is so special. Here we go. We still got time here, Brad?
You've got about, that's 50.
50?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to stop that and start it. Okay. So, part 2 on this one. Yesod parallels a sexual organ. With this organ, which a person can give pleasure and yet at the same time receive pleasure. We're on page 64, chapter 8. Hence, Tiferet beauty is essential in a one-way relationship, where Yesod is a reciprocal relationship. Third paragraph. The word Yesod means foundation. The foundation does not merely support the building, it establishes the proper relationship of the building on the ground. And the stone which the builders rejected has become the chief or the foundation stone. All right? It's that stone. It's not Jesus. It is that stone and has always been that stone. But without making Jesus that deal, their whole religion doesn't work. They have to do that, or their religion has no foundation. Now, the sphere of Yesod represents the ideal reciprocal relationship, give and take. Once this relationship is perfectly balanced, you can start working on a two-way relationship, which is the second triad, which is bringing in Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. You can bring in the Nahi. What are they saying? This is where the seed comes in, and then the seed comes in and goes to the ovaries, and when the ovaries release the egg, boom, baby. Because that's bringing in, you're bringing in right side, left side into the center channel. Yesod is channel. You're bringing right side, left side in, and boom. That's how it works. During Rabbi Akiva's imprisonment by the Romans, Rabbi Simon Bar Yochai, who's the redactor of the entire Zohar, came to him to learn Torah with him. And he asked him, he said, look, my son, the calf, more than the calf wants to suckle, the cow wants to give the milk. Okay? We can look at that in two terms. One of those terms is the teacher wants to teach Torah worse than you want to hear it. And Russell and I talk about this all the time. We prepare all week for Torah class, and it's like we're about to pop. And as soon as Torah class is over, it's like, oh my God, that just wore me out. All right, why? Because it's a zivug. It is a union. You are giving off light. All right? This also is one of the issues with men. They want to give light worse than the women want to receive the light. That is the primary goal. Just give. This is Hasidim. Give, 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 give. And Guvarot is restraint. Well, maybe not today. No, what are you talking about? Maybe not. No, maybe tomorrow. No, give, 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 give. So there's a balance that comes within giving and receiving in this reciprocal relationship. And what this book is fixing to go into, once this is balanced, it's the perfect worship of Hashem. This is how he meant to worship. This is that organusic or orgasmic release. That is the point in time where you actually feel the light of Atzilut. The feeling, just a blimp. That's the feeling that's called Olam Haba. Coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. It just keeps going. That's the feeling gets higher and 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 higher. It never stops. You want to know what heaven's like? That's it. It's the total, unbelievable sexual experience, all holy of holies. All holy of holies. All right? Because this is pure, it'll be pure giving of Hesed. And you'll be pure receiving the Hesed. What is this world about? You making the vessel to be able to receive it. That's why this world is built off Goo Road. Right? And so God has to thin it down to a string to see if we're worthy of receiving it. All right? Let's go. Now, the message was more than the disciples wanted to learn. The teacher wanted them to impart. It is something that I give, but a giving from which I receive. I learn from my teachers, and then I teach y'all. And then y'all teach the next guy. You know, if you're just keeping it all to yourself and you don't tell anybody about the Torah or don't try to teach anybody about Torah, you will pop like a balloon. The foundation parallels the 6th day of creation. 6. Now we're getting into man. So if we have 6 in Asiya, 6 in Yetzirah, and 6 in Berea, we have 666. And what does the other side want to do? Oh, that's demonic. Oh, no. It's holy of holies. It's Yesod. This is why Solomon, when he bought all the chariots, he paid 666 talents of gold for them. The chariots. That's what makes it move. He knew what he was doing. It's all about Yesod. Man is the foundation of creation. So if on the 6th day man's created, and 6th day is Yesod, and on the 6th day they ate, they had sex, and we have a big issue here. The only thing that fell out into this world is Adam's Yesod. That's why the only thing you have to do is have circumcision and then wash it off. Because that's the only thing here. Now, as you go up, you can so we go Yesod, circumcision Yesod, circumcision of the heart, and your mind, and your mouth, your tongue, because that's Yesod as well. All right? Moses says, I have uncircumcised lips. Well, he's going up the ladder. All right? It's cutting the klipa off. All right? Now, this is the underlying, back up, second paragraph, second paragraph, page 65. We will fulfill his purpose of creation, and essentially, in respect, we give pleasure to God. Think about that statement. This is the idea of Song of Songs. It's a love story of God and creation, of Solomon and his wife, of Zah and Nook, of Adam and Hava, of every man to every woman, of the high priest to God. Okay? Where a relationship between God and the tzaddik, or God and Israel, or between two lovers. It represents the relationship of a tzaddik with God, where he can constantly attach to God. Your relationship to God is a zivug. It is a union. Like a man and a wife. Cleaving to the divine comes down to Yesod. Right? So, tzaddik, when you have sex and you emit light, you are creating life. And Abraham and Sarah had no children, yet when they left Haran, they left with the souls they had made. And that's all the future converts ever. They were making them. They were souls. So when you have sex or when you emit light, you are making souls. Now, if you don't put it in the correct vessel, you are making souls for the other side. So where do demons come from? Spilling seed. All right, and so halakhically, oral sex, anal sex, all kosher, except you cannot emit seed. As long as you don't emit seed. So condom sex, if you emit seed, anal sex, oral sex, if you emit seed, is all spilling seed. This is called spilling your seed on the ground. This is what happened to Judah's 2 sons with Tamar. All right? That's what it is. Because you're feeding light to the other side and you are creating demonic forces that can actually attack you. All right? This is the huge problem with masturbation, is you are creating disembodied souls that can come get you. This is the secret of the 6th Noahic law of limb of a living animal. This is limb of a living animal. This is the limb, the Aver High. We're going to cover that in a minute. Aver High is limb of a living animal. What was Abraham? Aver High means the male Yesod. Aver, Avraham, he was the living Adamic Yesod. Giving Hesed. You see. He was more than a man.
They were creating him and Sarah all that time. They were creating souls for the good side.
That's correct.
Front side.
Because he was using it in the correct vessel.
He's in the union.
So how do you so at Yom Kippur you can pull them all back to the other side, but then you got to quit, you know. So that's how you that's how you create keruvim. You're creating angels either way. Either way you're creating. Why? You're made in the image of Adam. What did Adam create for the 130 years he was emitting seed in the river, separated from Hava? He made the air of Ra. He made the people of the Tower of Babel. He made the people of Egypt, Pharaoh. He made every exile. He made it all. Yeah. But why did he do it? Because the klipa had attached to him. He had to get it out. So the very formula that he used to clean himself up, he caused the very destruction that has been happening for 6,000 years.
But that's because they're still cleaning it up.
That's because
they're still cleaning up on the external now, not on the internal.
That's right.
They're cleaning up from the up, not in Keter.
That's what we're doing. How long we went for? About an hour? Y'all want to...
about an hour.
Y'all want to stop it right here and pick it up next week? Why don't we do that? So we're going to pick it up because we have some serious sex stuff to get in next week. Page 66. How about that? Let's stop here on page 66 at paragraph 2, and we will get into the rest of this. Y'all can read the rest of that, and we'll try to cover some more ground next week and cover everything. If you have any questions on any of this, just write it on the bottom of the deal, and I'll try to get them answered. And so the Torah is amazing. The sages are amazing. We'll see you next week with more Innerface. No second class today. Everybody's had the flu, and rabbis have had the flu, and so it's been very difficult studying. But I'll see y'all next week. Adios. Finish.